Good morning. That's not good. Ooh. Let me just play a minute and find what's happened to that. Excuse me while I play with my phone. I'd got it all set to be mute, but I'd obviously somehow on the line set it back to not being. Right. Have we lost our major echo and horrible noise now? I hope so. Okay, let's try again. Good morning. It is Monday morning. Welcome in. And we're here to do a little bit of crafting today. It's all right, new phone. So it's playing with settings and things, trying to get it to work properly. My name is Helen Jennings. I'm the Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK. Morning, everybody. No problems. We'll still be here if you have to disappear, and it'll still be, the recording will be up on YouTube and Facebook afterwards, all being well, pending any great disasters. So yeah, so here we are on another sunny day. We've had quite a few of those, haven't we? And ready to do a bit of springtime crafting. Morning, Jackie. So let us bring in some of these slides. This is me. Are you going to work for me? Say no, I'm being slow. There we are. This is me. www.love-a-duckie.co.uk. Morning, evening, Michelle from Australia. So evening to you. Hope you've had a lovely day and join us on as we start a sunny morning. So this is me. This is where you'll find my blog, where you'll find inspiration classes, all of those sorts of things on my website, www.love-a-duckie.co.uk. Let's flip through these. This is our fundraising tutorial that is still up for sale. If you haven't yet grabbed your copy and you'd like to, 13 different tutorials on there. All have been created with love in order to raise money for the Red Cross and their work in the Ukraine. So that's 13 different demonstrators from around the world, and you can find that over on my website. We are, of course, still in March. We have another week and a little bit to go. So that means that you can still get the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss at 20% off. And you can also get these 13 fabulous bundles. We're not necessarily going to focus on a bundle today. We've been deliberately adding one in over this last few weeks. Not deliberately adding one in today, although there is a couple sitting on the sidelines that, yeah, I might bring in. If it, might sneak them in. We'll see. But there's these 13 fabulous bundles. You don't have to buy the mini cut and emboss in order to take advantage of these 20% off on these 13 different bundles. So do check those out. You don't want to miss those. And saying that's running throughout March. Here we have upcoming classes and things for April. I had an all-day class on Saturday. That was good fun. I haven't got an in-person all-day class coming up in April, but instead we have got the Creativity Abounds Teams Stamp Camp using the symbols of fortune. So you buy the suite off of me or one of the other participating demonstrators, and you will get make and takes for 13 projects in the tutorial bundle that you'll receive, and then you'll be part of a Facebook group where there'll be 13 live presentations of 13 different projects, so 26 projects all together. So a great use of that suite. If you've looked at it and thought it's quite pretty, not sure what I'd do with it, then you'll be in no doubt with what to do with it if you come along to our stamp camp. And a couple of other things coming up in April. I've got a one sheet wonder using the Ladybug bundle, so we shall have lots of ladybirds on a one sheet wonder, and I've also got a stamp stack class using the fabulous amazing silhouettes bundle. So that is those. And talking of all day events, the retreat it will be sneaking up on us before we know where it is, where time has flown. It is the 18th of June, based here in Northamptonshire, an all-day event. You get a goodie bag worth at least £50. I feed you all day, you know, pastries when you arrive, lunch, dinner, snacks in between. You name it, you get all of that, lots of inspiration and things, and that is happening on the 18th of June, so do book your place on that. You need £35 to secure your place. That's your deposit, and then you can pay the rest in chunks. If you can't make the all-day event but would still like the goodie bag and the inspiration that goes with it, then you can have a retreat in a box option. So do check those out as well. You'll find those on my website. So let us hopefully, are you going to come in down here? Now that is still facing the wrong way, isn't it? It's not looking it on my camera. It keeps juggling itself back, so excuse me while I just have a bit of a play. Let's make sure that auto rotate hasn't been turned off. I did have grandchildren here over the weekend, which does mean occasionally, surprisingly to me, some of my settings change on my phone. No idea what we've got on here now. Oh dear, for goodness sake. We seem to have lost our thingy altogether. One of these days we shall come on and there will be a beautiful, smooth, I've had to go back to using my phone because my webcam stopped working. Right, fingers crossed. Let's pop that in there and let's add that to our stream. Let's spotlight it. Yay! Let's get the jungle drums out. Morning, Lee. How lovely to have you joining us live as well. I'm going to have a slurp of water. It's exhausting just getting the picture up this morning. Right, now today we're going to be playing, today and Friday, we're going to be playing with this stunningly gorgeous Flowering Fields suite. Now it's one of those suites that features two bundles. So it's got two stamp and die bundles in there. The most beautiful papers, some ribbon, and these gorgeous brushed brass butterflies. That's a whole lot of alliteration going on there, isn't there? Brushed brass butterflies. If I flick over, you've got to see you've got some gorgeous samples there. And if I flick over the pages, we sort of got a bit more of a spotlight on those two suites. So this is the Flowering Tulips bundle. So you've got these lovely tulips here. So you've got some two-step stamping going on in there. Some really nice sentiments. No one deserves a happier birthday than you. Let today be the start of something new. A lovely thank you. You are so thoughtful. Thank you. In that nice sort of circular sentiment piece. And just thinking of you today, you've got the say the flowers and the leaves and two-step stamping, really lovely. And then you have got lots and lots of dies that will not only cut out your stamped images, but will also create some stunning 3D tulips. There we are, like those ones just there. So that's really lovely. And the other bundle in this suite is the Tulip Fields. So a very odd looking thing, but these stamps working together, you can create these sort of fields of tulips like this. You've got your little hedges in there, you've got those as stamps, you've got the dies for the little hedges, you've got the little windmills, so you've got a windmill stamp that you can cut out, but you've also got these detailed windmills with sails that will actually go round. You've got this, you can see these tulips just here, these rows of tulips, that's created with this little die down the bottom here. You've got a little bike, trees, clouds. So yeah, beautiful. You can create some really lovely things with that. So those are the stamps and dies, the two bundles. We have these beautiful papers. They are just so vibrant and scrummy. They're really beautiful. Those rows of tulips. And then if we swing these round, look at that lovely clouds with the pink in there. This really nice sort of check background. Some more clouds. Nice bright background there. This one has got some multicoloured patches on it, as has this one. So they're beautiful. The papers are absolutely beautiful. Stamps and dies are fabulous. We've got these little brass butterflies here. So the brushed brass butterflies that are self-adhesive and will just stick in place. And then we have this ribbon. I've not yet used my ribbon. I'm sure we will do our best to put that right this morning. I seem to have gone a bit wonky. I think it's the paper that's gone wonky. Yeah, this lovely evening evergreen ribbon. It's just really lovely. Window pane check. Window pane check, I'm sure, because, well, looks a bit like a window pane. You sort of got the, rather than having a square check, you've got a rectangular check. So, lovely, lovely. Right, I think today we are going to concentrate on the tulips rather than the windmills. So we're going to concentrate on the Flowering Tulip bundle. So here's our dies, and here is our stamp set. So you can see you've got sort of these large tulips here, you've got these slightly smaller, medium size, and then you've got your buds, you've got some grass just there, you've got two sizes of leaves, you've got a stem, as well as all those lovely sentiments. And then in our dies, you've got this lovely row of tulips that makes a fabulous border. You've got some very odd looking dies. Got 1, 2, 3, because to make the 3D tulips, you sort of wrap these round the inner pieces. So these are the inner pieces. You wrap those round. Then you've got your dies that are going to cut out your stamped images. You've got dies for leaves and dies for stems. And then you've got this cute little die here that's going to cut you a crisscrossy pattern out of a piece of card. So let's play. Now I have also here, I've got this in my thing. Sometimes it just isn't worth reinventing the wheel. A lovely lady called Jennifer Cotton, the stamp therapist, had created this sort of pictorial guide to putting together your tulips. So there we go. Add these together and you get that tulip. Put these together and you get that tulip. And put these together and you get that tulip. So yes, I've printed that off. I've saved it on my Pinterest board and printed that off. I could have created something very similar, but I thought, you know, why reinvent the wheel? Thank you very much to Jennifer Cotton. Let's give her a shout out and use her guide. But let's get these stamps. So just for a change, these have been used. In fact, we had a couple of samples using these on Saturday. And bear with me one moment while I find my blocks. They hadn't made their way back over here after going out on tour. Right, we have our blocks. Let's find ourselves some basic white card. I'm just going to cut myself. I'm just going to cut this in half actually for a minute. And we'll see how much of it we need. I'm going to reach over and get my Stampin' Pierce mat because we have got photopolymer stamps. Now, we get these out. If we lay them side by side, you'll hopefully be able to see that one of them, although there's ink on the edges as well, this one has got sort of slightly narrower raised edges around the outside than this one. So that means that this stamp is the stamp that you're going to use. So if we look on this sample just here, where you've got the sort of slightly darker, I think that's Highland Heather round the edge, that's the stamp with the narrower raised areas, and then the other stamp is used for, so that would be Fresh Freesia, I would think, there is used to create the lighter areas. So I am actually just going to use one colour and I'm going to do some stamping off. And I'm going to grab Rich Raspberry. It's a colour that I've not used for a little while. And we were talking about a card that we had created over the weekend with Rich Raspberry and the tulip. I don't think it was in the Tulip Punch. I think it was an older stamp set ages ago, and it was in sort of rich raspberries, and it looked really lovely. So I'm going to ink up the slightly more solid image, and I have just re-inked my rich raspberry pad. So let's see how this goes. So that is stamped off. Now I am trying to line this up while not being able to get my head over the top of the camera, so it may be a little bit off. That's not bad, is it? So let's do a couple of those. To say, and I have literally just re-inked my ink pad this morning. So that is stamped off and stamped. I'll just move things to one side. I'm going to move these just over this way a little bit so I can try my best to line them up. They're normally easier to line up than that. It's just that I can't get my head over the top. Beautiful. Let's come in rustle, rustle, rustle. That's sort of that piece, and then let's come over the top. That one, and then we've got the little bird. I'll just have a couple of these as well. Got very inky fingers now. So there we have some tulip flower heads. Just going to stamp a couple of stems on there. And then we'll grab some leaves. And I've put both of the different sizes of those leaves onto one block. And let's just stamp ourselves some leaves. Now we might do some stems and things on our card when we come to do that. Got very inky fingers. You can tell that I have inked up my pad. Just grab a Stampin' scrub here. I'll give that a spritz. Let's clean up some of these stamps. Sorry, giving you a good wobble there. Just so that we don't lean on them with our cardstock, because they are so inky. Let's pop these ones on here. Give our blocks a bit of a clean as well. There is ink everywhere. Right. And our leaves. Okay, that's the washing up done. bring in number 1 plates, 2 number 2 plates. Now, one of the ladies on Saturday did ask me about my plate. So this particular plate here, I don't know if you can see it, is really starting to warp and crack in the center there. And she said she'd never had a plate do that before. I seem to have quite a few plates do that, but of course I am using my plates a lot, really, possibly slightly more than people might generally use their plates. So they get a lot of wear and tear. But your acrylic plates for your machines, they are consumables. They're not made to last forever. I have got one other stamp to do on these tulips, but that's fine. I can do it once I've cut it. They're not meant to last forever, and they will go eventually. So that may well snap eventually, or it might just get that it's. Did you hear that? That's all my tulip dies falling on the floor. It might just get that it's too difficult to cut with. I have to go on a hunt for some tulip dies in a minute, because of course it fell on top of a box. So whether things have gone into boxes or where those have all gone, who knows? We'll have a hunt in a minute. Got my leaves. I cut the dies I need for this one. It's just the dies, the fancy cut dies that seem to have disappeared. There's one. Right. Let's cut these. So yes, so your plates will get scratched, they will crack, they might bend, they might do all of those things. A lot of it is just aesthetics, you know. It doesn't matter if they just look a bit odd. That's fine. What matters is, are they still working? If the answer to that question is yes, then it's nothing to worry about. If it is interfering in any way with the cutting, then it's time for some new plates. And if you're savvy, it could be that you've managed to rotate your plate so you get one that sort of is very tatty, and then you just bring one new one in of a pair and gradually rotate them. One more large tulip. Just there, that's the spot. So of course tulips come in all sorts of colours, and they come in sort of multicoloured as well. So you could be using 2 colours here, and did some the other day that were they Poppy Parade and Calypso Coral, something like that, if I remember right. Let's bring in our leaves and our stems and our little tulips. Let's do that one, and hopefully we'll be able to put that on that one. And bring this in. for that one. You would obviously take much more time lining up your flowers and things, perhaps taping them down. Oh, that didn't work well, did it? Knocked them completely out of kilter. Through it goes. And a couple of leaves and a stem. Ooh, I don't think I quite took that far enough through. I will chop that one. It wasn't quite layered up properly. It didn't have the correct sandwich width. Why do I not just put tape on it in the first place? Answers on a postcard. Oh, for goodness sake. Seem to have lost all coordination this morning. We had an unexpectedly busy weekend, having done an all-day class on Saturday. My son-in-law has not been very well, so my daughter ended up taking him across to the hospital to try and get him checked out. So we had unexpected sleepovers, which was great fun, but unexpected. So hence I have literally sort of unpacked boxes of stamps and inks this morning before coming on live, because I hadn't got round to doing that. Right, let me just get some scissors. And I'm just going to snip round this bit. It didn't quite cut. Right. We have got lots of flowers and stalks and things there. I want to get a piece of basic black cardstock. I am going to cut to 14.4 by 10. And then I want a little bit of rich raspberry cardstock that I'm going to cut to 9.5 by 13.9. Not with that bit, I'm not, because it's not long enough. Let's try that again. 13.9 by 9.5. Once more with feeling. And then I want to come back into my dies. I want to grab this little die here that's going to cut me some little squares. Now obviously I'm going to need to do this on my bigger machine because this piece of card is 9.5 centimeters wide. The width of the bed on the mini stamping cut and emboss is about 8.9 centimeters. So this piece of rich raspberry cardstock is just a tad too wide to go through there. So we're going to use his big brother for this one. I'm going to cut one sort of up there, and I think I'm going to cut one down the bottom here on opposite sides. Just winding that one through. Look at this interesting pattern. You get sort of, as I've taken this die piece out, get all these little squares left on your mat. You could take a piece of sort of low tack tape or something and pick all those up and add those to a card front, and then just add in any missing ones. But there we've got this lovely pattern now in our cardstock. Let's put those back. I'm going to sit that on there. And then I will have the black showing through under there. Now the stamp that I have not yet added in is just this tiny weeny little stamp just here. So let's find a tiny weeny little block to go with it. Let's have an A block and some Memento ink. I'm going to take these tulips here. Just add in these bits in the centre. Like that. Right, I'm going to take a piece of basic white card. I want it to be fairly narrow. I'm going to go 5 centimetres. I'm going to take it down to 11.9, I think. And then I'm going to cut a piece of black that is 5.5. by 12.4. Let's see how that looks. In the centre there, with our holes coming either side, we're going to have our tulips sort of on the top here. And to have some, these may get wiggled round a little bit, we're just sort of a bit like this. Let's have a few leaves coming up and around and about somewhere. Our little buds as well. I'm just looking, I seem to have lost a leaf. Here it is. So we'll have our tulips on the top there that we're going to arrange. I'm going to bring in that stem stamp. Won't quite fit on a G block, it have to be a H block. So let's have, we'll add in a couple more stems that we're just going to stamp directly on there. Okay, let's do some flower arranging. Grab some mini dimensionals. I just want to cut a very thin slither off the edge of this. I will then add some little bits to the back of here. Oh, where did that go? And this is just literally cutting our own little pieces of dimensional. Take the back off that top bit. That's why it's not sticking. So itsy bitsy bits of dimensional. And a bit in the middle. And the other thing we need to look out for in terms of, we're thinking of, oh, I don't even know when we think about it, but thinking about offers and those sorts of things. On Wednesday evening here in the UK, we are going to get to see the new annual catalogue, so the new big catalogue, we are already getting sneaky peeks of new in colours. At the moment, we're getting one a day. We get a clue and then a reveal. So they are looking very exciting. But that does mean with the arrival of the PDF for the new annual catalogue that there will be retiring lists of things that are no longer going to be with us. So they will all be going live this week. I'm going to put a little bird just there, so do look out for those sort of late-ish sort of 7 o'clock-ish on Wednesday. We shall know what is not carrying over, and if you're a demonstrator, you'll also know what's coming that's new, which is very exciting. Annual catalogue launches are the most exciting of all, aren't they? Because we get the new in colours, and well, it's a much bigger book, of course. I don't want those to be completely I should have another bud somewhere. Where has that gone? We'll add in some leaves anyway for now. Take one of these little leaves and some Tombow. And we'll add that in, sort of coming out to fill that gap just there. If I find my bird, I'll perhaps add that in, but if I don't, well, it's not the end of the world. Let's have this leaf coming in here. Have one coming up there. And I think we'll put a couple of dimensionals behind this one. Excuse me. And we'll have that one coming up there. So we've got lots of tulips on there. Let's stick this. So I have got a few dimensionals popping over the back, but that's okay. They will stick to the card front. Let's add that to that black mat. We'll add our black mat to our card front. I'm going to put that leaf around a little bit more, just so a bit more of that black is showing just in through there. We'll have a white card base, I think. So just a standard card base. So for me, as I stand here with my trimmer, that is 14.9 by 21 centimetres, scored at 10.5. Yes, So this card could be used for so many occasions. It's really pretty. It could be a birthday card. It could be a thank you card. It could be a Happy Mother's Day card. But because we have used sort of that rich raspberry and those hints of black in the background, if you need it to be, it could also be a with sympathy card. So it does cover lots of occasions. I'm trying to think off the top of my head where there is with sympathy. Stamp set, or just a thinking of you, or those sorts of stamps and images. I've got an Always Thinking of You. This is from the Very Versailles stamp set. I'm going to add an Always Thinking of You to that. Let's bring back in our rich raspberry. So sympathy cards are quite difficult ones. Sometimes people really struggle with what to do. I've got a hair stuck underneath there. So it doesn't have to just be about sort of black and white and grey. But obviously it's quite often is about thinking of your colours a little bit sensitively, perhaps. But I'm going to bring in my big scissors. Here they are. I've stamped that a little bit wonky. So Always Thinking of You. Let's bring in a little bit of black cardstock. But of course you could reproduce this card, and you could do it because it is sort of, it is a, apart from your green leaves, fairly monochrome. You could just pick any colour. So you could have it in bright reds, you could have it in bright yellows. I saw somebody had done some cards in using, I think this suite, this bundle, and they had done it in blue and white, so very sort of Dutch Delftware. Looked quite effective. Take some dimensionals and put a mini dimensional either side, and just a touch of Tombow in the middle. This is sort of spreading across where we've added some dimensionals to those stems. And let's dig about. and find the classic matte dots. And my pokey tool. Just going to put these little black dots round and about. I don't know about you, but I think that's quite striking. I'm quite pleased with that one. So a lovely stamped card. So we've die cut our stamped images, but a lot of stamping on there with those 2-step stamp tulips. So just beautiful. So let's have a quick play with the other sorts of tulips, the die cut ones, and some paper. We haven't used any of that paper. Let me pop that die on there. Let's see if we've got all of our fancy dies. I am missing one of the ones that fold up, that went flying across here, and I suspect might have gone flying into one of these boxes of bits. There's another little die. But we may just have to work around that one, and I will have to do the digging about and finding it off air. So let's look at the ones that we have got. So we have got this one just here, and this one just here. So the tulip we're not going to be making is this one just here, because that's the one that looks like sort of a couple of bunny ears. I'm sure will come to light. Not sure how far across the... I found it. Found it. Okay, we have all 3 tulips. So let's find ourselves some oddments of card, and let's create some tulips. We'll have some granny apple green for some leaves. Oh no, I think we'll go pear pizzazz actually. And we'll go with some purples. So I've got some Highland Heather, some gorgeous grape, and some fresh freesia. And let's make one of each tulip. And a bit of pear pizzazz. Right, I'm just going to bring in the Daddy die cutting machine, just because we'll be able to cut a few more in one run through. So what I want is I'm going to cut one of this one in Gorgeous Grape, one of this one in Gorgeous Grape, and one of this one in Gorgeous Grape. This one I need to cut. Just wondering what's fallen onto my foot. A couple in Highland Heather. We'll do one and come back and do another. And then the little ones, I'm going to want 3 of those in Fresh Freesia. And then let's do some leaves. Right, let's run that through. So that's all of our Gorgeous Grape bits. We need one more Highland Heather. That had hung off the edge. Let's do one more leaf. And one more centerpiece. So these have got some embossed detail on them as well as cutting them. And turn that round so that that's sticking out the end. And let's cut out a bit of a stem as well. Put those back. Bring that over. Put that back. Bring that over. Do you think you're going to want another stem piece? And we'll run that through for good measure. These are really quite thin, delicate little stems. They're rather lovely. But obviously you're not die cutting a stamped image with those. That's why they can be a little bit narrower. So let's build up some flowers and then we can decide what we're going to do with them. So you'll find all of these large bits have got score lines on them, which means that these then sort of wrap round. You get like these arms that come round the front. To cuddle the inner of the stamp. Where's the other bit gone? Aha! And then this one will fold round like this. So we've got these 3 pieces. So this piece here, we're going to want one of these pieces and one of these pieces. This one here, we're just going to want one of these. And this one here, we're going to again want one of each of these to build those up. So let's bring in some glue. So I'm going to make these quite quickly and just as they are. You can of course spend lots of time shaping. You could get your blending brushes out and add some more shading in on the edges. Fiddle about with where they go. But this is just one of the sort of little series of 3D flower dies we've got now. The pansies is another one that you can build up beautiful 3D flowers. And the hydrangeas, you've got some 3D elements to them. The daffodils, of course. So really, actually that's upside down, Helen. That makes much more sense. So yeah, they're really gorgeous and really worth taking the time to have a good play. I'm very conscious of time now. We have been playing for quite a while. And then this little one here. I could be adding some dimensionals in here so that they sort of stick out a bit more rounded, which is beautiful, but will of course impact if you're posting. So that's something to bear in mind. Bit heavy on the glue there. So there we have 3 little tulips. We've got a couple of stems here. And we can have some leaves. The leaf coming in up here. And another one down there somewhere. So really pretty. Let's bring in our papers here. So I don't think actually I am going to take this paper just here. I'm going to cut it at 10 centimeters wide down here, and 14.4 centimeters wide just there, and then I'm going to sit this in the diagonal like that. I think we're quite in the groove at the top. Are we grooving at the top? Not quite. About there. Let's cut that in half. Like that. I'm going to take a label of some sort. What shall we have? Stitched scalloped. They were laughing about how often I use hippo dies the other day, but I think it's going to be a hippo die again. I'm going to cut this label in white. That's because they are fabulous labels, fabulous die set. You never ever cut a hippo out of it. It is so worth it just for these labels. Oh, I've just found my other bud. And obviously we'll also go through the mini machine. Just knocked that phone. I might use my little bud on the inside of my card. I think this needs trimming down a little bit because it's slightly bigger than it needs to be. I don't know what I did with that's because it's upside down, Helen. Have our stems. And we will have some of our leaves coming in various places. Obviously not stuck these down yet. So looking at that Pear Pizzazz mat, it's actually too wide. Let's have a look. Needs to be 10. Please. Deep enough. It's fine. Card base. stick that in place on there. Ah. Let's do some flower arranging on this piece just here. To add this bud just here. And we'll have this one just here. That one just there, I think. Let's bring in our stems. Trim that off in a minute. Let's just cut that round the curve on the bottom. And take my little leaf. That coming in up there. So you could, of course, stamp onto these as well if you wanted them to have a bit more dimension or a bit more detail. I'm going to leave them just fairly plain. Dum, dum, dum. We now have everything everywhere, and I'm looking for the stamp set. I have blocks, I have cardstock. Aha. All that. I had the stamps, I just didn't have. I'm looking for this little stamp here that has little crosses on it. And we're going to grab gorgeous grey ink. Let's just add some of those little crosses in the background there. I'm going to bring in, so I'm not going to use our evening evergreen ribbon because we haven't used that in our card base. I'm going to bring in instead some of this gorgeous grape ribbon. And wrap a little bit of that around. And stick down. Let's make a bow. Add that with a glue dot. I'll stick this to our card base. And I think we'll have "No one deserves a happier birthday than you." Will that fit across there? No, we need another oddment of card. That one will do perfectly. And I think again we'll come in with gorgeous grape. Went a bit wonky. Going to add in a bit more gorgeous grape card, I think, underneath there. Find a little bit. just trim that round. Let's grab a couple of large dimensionals, I think, for this one. Before I put that on there, that background looks very, the pear pizzazz looks very plain. I'm going to take my little crosses stamp again. And just, obviously, if you were reproducing this, you'd do this before you stuck it all in place. But I just think that that pear pizzazz in the background there requires a little something. And I could perhaps have sort of sponge the edge of these leaves to make those a little bit stand out a bit more as well. Lots of things could have added into that one. But let us just see if we can find somewhere in amongst all our goodies underneath all of these things. Have we got some of our brass butterflies? Because I could find them. I would add a couple in, but at the moment I can't. But when I find them, 2 seconds after I turn the camera off, I will add some brass butterflies in there. But for now, 2 tulip cards, one concentrating mainly on the stamps and the two-step stamping, and all the beautiful detail you can get with that, and the other one just quickly making up some of those dies. And as I say, you can really play with those and yeah, add in lots more detail, sponge those edges and play about with the colours. Lots that you can do with that. So a really gorgeous bundle. So part of that greater Flowering Tulips, Flowering Fields suite. This is the Flowering Tulips bundle, and we'll be back on Friday to play with a few windmills. So hope you enjoyed that, and as I say, we shall be back on Friday. Have a lovely week in the meantime, in this spring sunshine if you're here in the UK, or whatever you're doing. I hope you have a really good week, and I'll see you again very soon.